Juliet says goodbye to Rachel when she leaves for the island, and we learn that Rachel was sterile because of cancer. Kind of a big thing to not tell us last time there. Richard says this about the island.
You're going to be amazed at how time flies once you're there.
Liar! Liar! Liar!
Then he asks her to drink a bunch of tranquilizers before the trip, and we get this.
Okay. I was fine with signing all of your paperwork, fine with agreeing to not talk to anyone in my life for 6 months, fine with the fact that no one in the medical community has ever heard of Mitlo's bioscience.
Why were you fine?
What?
Why were you fine with those things? It seems like quite a leap for a job opportunity.
That is a very good question, and of course Richard then doesn't let her answer it, instead answering for her with something that turns out to be a half-truth at best. Typical. She finally drinks it and wakes up on the island. We skip ahead a few months and then, wonder of wonders, we actually get an answer to one of the show's biggest mysteries up until now. Why did the others want Claire's baby so much? Because for some reason women always die when giving birth on the island, and they wanted to study a birth that was conceived off the island. And since Claire is still alive, it seems their theory was right. Although just like Ben's tumor, it just makes me wonder why they couldn't just ask Claire about it like any actual human being would. And the question of why this happens in the first place is just left by the wayside. Ben reveals that Rachel's cancer has returned, but Jacob himself will cure it, because the island cures cancer like we saw with Rose, if she stays on the island and continues trying to fix the problem.
Jacob said he would take care of it himself. Unless, of course, you don't have faith in him.
And why should she trust him exactly? Help me out here, I'm honestly curious. It's now the day before the crash, and we learn that Juliet was dating Goodwin, who is dead now, so this has no impact on the story at all. Thanks a lot. At least we get a nice shot of her bare back out of it. Then she lets Ben know about his tumor, which he's actually surprised about given the whole no cancer on the island thing. He says he doesn't know how it happened, and it's going to stay that way. On the day of the crash, we get the whole bit that we saw in the season premiere, and then Ben takes Juliet to the Flame, where we get some more of Michael Emerson treating the show as his own personal sitcom.
Mikhail, we're here. He never has his walkie on.
What are we doing here?
Something I need to show you.
Mikhail! It's Ben! I'm here with Juliet. We're approaching the house. Don't shoot us.
And bless him for it. They're here so Richard can give Juliet live footage of Rachel and her son. So Ben was telling the truth about that at least, and Juliet has a whole new family that she'll never get to see because she eventually dies still on the island. Uplifting, huh? And I'll stop here because this is another one where the last flashback scene is better played in its proper place. Kate asks Jack about what his time with the others was like.
Kept my head down, did what I was supposed to. I didn't ask any questions.
Well, that's a shock. Saeed, meanwhile, is busy trying to get some damn answers out of Juliet, once again being far more effective than our so-called heroes. And of course Jack puts a stop to it because he's an idiot. And then he actually says a line I still can't believe they actually thought we could possibly take seriously.
She's under my protection.
Yes, that was actually Jack trying to physically intimidate Saeed. And honestly, how could anyone think that this could appear to be anything but pathetic? After a bit with Claire feeling sick, we get this.
They'll come around. Just give them some time.
My people kept Saeed chained to a swing set for 3 days. Then I dragged Kate to the jungle, handcuffed myself to her, and lied about it. How much time do you think they need?
We'll be back to our beach in a couple hours. They'll probably be over it by then.
Was that supposed to be funny? Because given that it's Jack, I could completely buy that he intended that seriously. There's more of Claire being sick, and then Jack and the rest arrive at the beach. So that whole thing last time about Hurley forcing Sawyer to be the leader in Jack's absence was completely pointless. And the really funny thing is that this episode aired right before Easter, which lends this whole scene a weird Jack is Jesus vibe that I really do suspect was deliberate. And I am not buying it at all. And of course everyone also notices Juliet, and I really love how Elizabeth Mitchell plays this moment. You can just feel her thinking, yeah, this is gonna hurt. Hurley brings up some of the nasty things the others did in the Season 2 finale, but we're not supposed to think about that because the only reason this scene exists is to patch up the plot hole of why Juliet wasn't in that episode. And what did they come up with?
I had the day off.
About a C- for effort there, but it's followed by a really fantastic scene where both Saeed and Sawyer score some great points on Jack. In fact, I'm just going to let it play out.
I don't trust her, Jack. If she's so innocent, why won't she answer our questions?
Let's give her some time. She's afraid.
How much time?
Look, the fact that I trust her should be enough.
It's not.
Where did Locke go? Went with them. Right after he destroyed the sub. The sub that was going to take me off this island.
What? They were gonna let you go?
Yeah.
Said who?
Ben.
Ben. Whose life, you say?
Sawyer, lay off.
Should have let that bug-eyed bastard die.
Yeah, he did it for us.
Sounds like he did it for him.
James.
Something you want to ask me, Sawyer?
Yeah, Jack, I want to ask you why you're fighting every single one of us and sticking up for one of them.
Seriously, great work, everyone. Unfortunately, this is lost, and Jack is supposed to be our perfect hero, so because he can't actually defend himself against any of this, they instead just have Claire vomit up some blood and distract everyone. Sorry, but I'm not falling for it. I still want to see him answer some of that stuff.
What happened to her?
무슨 상황인데?
He said, what do you care?
Boo freaking yeah. Juliet then reveals to Jack and Kate that she was using Claire as a control case for the pregnancy problem with Ethan giving her a serum. Then when they found out Ethan was an other, he improvised the kidnapping. And you know what the really funny thing is? This could have gone a long way to actually making the others somewhat salvageable as something other than pure villains. Just tell us that Ethan, the guy who did a lot of the worst stuff we've seen from them, was working on his own without their knowledge. But no, it'll turn out this whole story is a lie, and we're once again left with the others as nothing but...
We're the good guys, Michael.
Not that. Anyway, Juliet says she has to go to the spot where Ethan stashed the serum so Claire can be injected again. But once she finds it, Saeed and Sawyer pop up for some alone time with her. And they're pretty obviously written to look like the bad guys here, but everything they say is still perfectly justifiable, so it falls pretty flat. In the end, Juliet is forced to just guilt-trip them about the bad things they've done, which has a few problems. One, it's suddenly obvious how artificial the writing has been to make these two the primary anti-Juliet people, because there's no way she could pull this kind of shit on, say, Hurley or Son. Two, while Juliet herself may be able to take the moral high ground against them, the others as a whole certainly cannot, or do I have to remind you of how they tortured a kid? And three, it seems the writers realized that they couldn't exactly try to make Juliet look better than Sawyer just because of his being a con man, so instead she brings up the guy he killed in Australia. And while everything else the others have been shown to know about these people is kinda plausible, there's no way they can know about that because Sawyer and the guy he killed were the only people there. The episode was doing pretty good before this, so it's a shame they had to go here.
She's not touching Claire. She's the one who did this to her.
She can help her, Charlie.
Says who, her? How can you even trust her?
I do trust her. You trust me?
The correct answer there would be no.
If this doesn't work, if something happens to her, I'm not gonna be able to protect you anymore.
Oh, you mean the way everyone's just been too polite to punch you in the face? Yeah, that's all you're doing, so don't kid yourself into thinking it's anything more. Anyway, the serum works, earning Juliet some goodwill from the camp, and then we get the last part of the flashback revealing that this is all a plan by Ben for some nefarious purpose. And boy was I excited when this scene came up. I thought, here is proof that Jack has been absolutely 100% wrong about something, and sometime soon he's going to have to realize that and explain himself to everyone he's been acting like such a dick to. As for what the payoff actually was, well, you'll see. My score for One of Us is 9 out of 10. For the first and possibly only time, the flashback takes up more than half of the episode's running time, and it fills in a lot of gaps and lets us understand Juliet better. You know, the thing that all the flashbacks used to be doing? The stuff on the island works great too, and it's very satisfying to see Jack called out on his stupidity so much, then not have him turn out to be right after all. If it wasn't for that one really problematic scene between Juliet, Saeed, and Sawyer, this would have been a perfect score.